In 1993, I was in a lecture hall at Ohio State University, and a professor told me that he and 9 other professors got a research grant to go all over the United States, and they were commissioned by the top 10 corporations in America. And the charge was to find out where's the most ideal place for development. Where's the most ideal place in all 50 states in America for development? And they were given a year to research this. And they concluded Gary, Indiana, unequivocally. And I'm sitting in this lecture hall, and I raised my hand, and I said, hey, that's my home. And another person raised their hand and said, oh, you mean the region? And the professor said, no, I didn't say the region. Another group to my left raised their hands. I'm from the region. I'm from Hammond. I didn't say Hammond. I didn't say the region. I said Gary, Indiana. To make a long story, maybe a little longer, I proceeded to the professor's office, and I said, now, you know Gary is perceived to be the murder capital. You know that Gary is predominantly African American. And the professor said, that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. When you want a piece of real estate, there are means to get it. And so I asked him, well, what are you talking about? He said, well, you're at this university, you're a business major, and management information systems, you're working with applications and progress and so forth. Think about it. How can you take property from someone that don't want you to have it? So we played this cat and mouse game, and we came up with 2 strategies for taking your property, or my property. One is called eminent domain. About 2005 or 6, the Supreme Court gave eminent domain more teeth. What eminent domain is when any governmental body decide for various reasons to develop a piece of real estate, and you're in that footprint, that they can take that land from you and give you what's called reasonable market value for your property. Many people did not understand when I moved back to this area in '94, when I explained that could happen. We have since seen a demonstration, and I will use the word demonstration for negative sense and positive reasons, but I'm going to use it in 2 different ways. One is this. We have just east of us a baseball stadium. And if any of you were around when they erected the baseball stadium, there were some people that said, I'm not selling my home. But when the dust settled, there was not even a shadow of those individuals' homes. Yes, they were given reasonable market value. Some were promised they'll build a brand new garage when they didn't have one. For whatever reasons, the person left unwillingly by reason of eminent domain. There was another factor. I heard a gentleman by the name of Dick Gregory speak at Purdue University once upon a time, and he said, in America, you never really own real estate. And I remembered that while discussing this situation with my professor. And I remember asking Dick Gregory, well, why? And he said, well, you will have to pay property tax. Try not satisfying the tax bill when it comes and see if that property remains yours. And so I said, okay, property tax. He said, well, there are things you can do to raise the value of the property, and as a result of such, people could no longer afford to live and they would be forced to move. So property valuation and eminent domain are the 2 core elements used to manipulate the middle class, the working poor, the underemployed, the unemployed, and those that are poor or poorer. So upon discussing this, the professor said, watch Gary, Indiana in the next 15 years. This was in 1993. In 1994, I moved back And I was basically like the fairy tale story go, almost like the boy who cried wolf. I moved back to the area. I began to tell my friends and family and leaders that an economic storm is the term I used at the time, is coming to Gary, Indiana. And if you want to minimize the stress in your experience of such, if you're still in this area, we should prepare. Many people laughed, some shrugged it off. I did not have any facts to show them. I took a job as the first African-American branch manager for Centier Bank, and in 1996 I started Choice 3, and I began to help individuals start businesses, look at rethinking the way they use their disposable income, and thus Choice 3 evolved. And I continue to talk about preparing for this economic storm. In 2005, I began to tell individuals that it's getting worse, and we're moving into it. You can see because the tax situation started rumbling. What we were talking about, there was a picture in the paper that said, shouldn't you get the same value of your home that they're getting in Hobart or Cherryville or Maryville? And there was a petition signed, and over 50,000 people signed agreeing that they should get the same value for their home as one of the neighboring suburbs.